this is the number that you need to save to justify your purchase of ChatGPT Plus. I'm going to break down the math and then I'm going to show you why ChatGPT Plus is worth it over the free version of ChatGPT. So we don't get lost with all the funny words of GPT-3, GPT-4, plugins. We're just going to quickly jump in and I'm just going to show you what we're talking about. So if you're using the free version, then you're using the AI called GPT 3.5. When you upgrade to GPT Plus, you'll have access to GPT-4. But what comes with it is code interpreter and plugins. Just like an app store for your phone, apps are able to connect with your AI conversation. All right, let's crunch the numbers so that we can understand how saving a mere 2 minutes with GPT Plus will be worth it for you and your boss. Okay, so let's go through this starting from the top. ChatGPT Plus costs $20 a month USD. So that's $240 a year. Now let's work with averages. The average person in US, now I know I'm Australian, but like we just got to do US because everything revolves around the US, right? So the average person in US makes $70,000 a year. So if you were to add $240 to that $70,000, then you are adding only 0.34% of that total amount. Now, obviously that'll vary depending on how much you're making, but I'm going with averages here. Now let's figure out how many minutes a day is actually worth 0.34% because that's all it needs to prove. So as we know, the average person needs to work 8 hours a day and that equals to 480 minutes. Now, if we were to find 0.34% of 180 minutes, we would get 1.6 minutes. So ChatGPT Plus needs to save you or your employees 2 minutes a day. Wait, so you're telling me that the state-of-the-art AI that's available commercially to anyone needs to only prove itself 2 minutes a day? Now I thought about it and I went, oh wait, yeah, that's right. There's a free version. Of course, people are just gonna default to the free version and then not even think to go beyond that and see what's beyond it. So the question is, does GPT Plus save you 2 minutes compared to the free version? So I'm gonna answer it like this. Firstly, I'm gonna prove to you that GPT 3.5 is wasting your time compared to GPT-4. And secondly, I'm gonna prove to you how GPT-4 is actually going to save you heaps of time and that it's actually going to do more than save you time. It's going to blow your mind of the type of things that you can do that simply can't be done with GPT 3.5. Now, before I get into bashing GPT 3.5, I need to say that it is genuinely such an amazing AI. The free version is very good, but I'm comparing that to not using an AI at all. I remember the day when ChatGPT released because I was only asking a week ago to my friends, I wonder if there's an AI out there that I could use because everything was behind some sort of, early access wall and I really wanted to get my hands on some AIs and play with them. And then ChatGPT came out and it was free and available to anyone. And it could do so much. It was so fast. It was smarter than anything else out there. And I feel like so much of us are living in that little pocket, remembering how awesome it was compared to not having AI to having something now that's completely for free. But GPT 3.5 does waste your time compared to 4. It's just as simple as that, and I'm going to prove it to you. I have very hands-on experience with this, not with just ChatGPT, but I've spent hundreds of hours programming apps that use GPT 3.5 and 4. But I have to really wrestle with 3.5 a heck of a lot because it is 20 times cheaper to run compared to 4. So people really want me to be using 3.5 because it is just so much cheaper. And so when I encountered a scenario where GPT 3.5 just simply wasn't being able to answer, which happened very often, I would really have to wrestle with the prompts and try and write the perfect context, and I'd have to do some research of how someone else got this result, because when you're building apps you can't have it respond in the wrong way ever. And so I need to really work with this thing. I had to spend so much time just pushing the limits of GPT 3.5. Answers not completing, or it answered in a way that felt completely disconnected from what I actually asked of it, which then led me to optimizing the prompt, and those optimizing sessions led me into spending hours doing research, trying to figure out how to get the exact thing that I needed to come out of it. If I was able to switch over to GPT-4, I would have none of those problems. But because GPT 3.5 is so cheap, it makes sense to build it in an app, but that's because it's at scale. But this is my point. You are just one person. You don't want to be using an AI version that is wasting your time because you didn't prompt it correctly. You want an AI that is going to understand you even if you were babbling like my 5-year-old. Because when I ask GPT 3.5 with spelling mistakes and in a roundabout way, it most of the time will understand what I'm saying. And I'm sure that you, if you've been using the free version of ChatGPT, you have experienced this. And I'm telling you, there is greener grass on the other side, and it definitely would save you 2 minutes. But now let's get to the good stuff of what GPT Plus with GPT-4 can do. Why do the research when someone else has already done it for us? Well, in this research article, scientists were testing if GPT-4 could actually write article abstracts better than them. I'll get to the results, but what do abstracts have to do with you and everyday business? Well, think of abstracts as structured summaries or a document with an expected format. Businesses have these everywhere. Sales proposals, deals, estimates, any type of reporting, executive summaries, minutes, financial statements, business plans. All of them have an expected outline that they should roundabout follow. You'll be hard pressed not to see these types of structured documents everywhere in your business. Now, if you're like me and you hear about those type of documents, they bring a sigh to your heart. They are some of the worst things that you have to do. It's like they were better made for robots, eh? No joke, the mental health gains are worth it alone. So if these scientists can actually prove that GPT-4 can write these abstracts better than humans, then GPT-4 can write any structured documents better than humans. The results show that 50% of the time, the abstracts written by ChatGPT was indistinguishable from the human written ones. Now that might sound like it misses 50% of the time, but you got to remember that these abstracts would take hours to write, whereas GPT-4 took seconds. Now enough talk, let me show you this in action. We're going to do a executive summary. It's something that we often have to do with our bosses, our managers, whoever. Maybe we have to present it, but we need to distill a whole lot of information that we might have gathered into a short, concise, hopefully visually appealing way. GPT-4 with the newly added code interpreter is unbelievably powerful for this. So let me show you. So I have added a file. It's a financial analysis CSV. This is just an example of what's in here. And then I've just told it, I've just completed a business project and I need your help to create an executive summary. But then at the end, I say, could you help me create an executive summary based on these findings and add types of graphs that would visually represent each of these points in a compelling way? Let's see what happens. So it's just read the CSV. That's what it's done there. Now it's saying that it's got to visualize the data. Okay, so we've got projected revenue and break-even point. This is very cool. Market size growth, market share distribution, consumer preference. So what are we looking at here? Value in millions for revenue and market size. Cool. So look, it's done a pretty cool job. We're just exhausted in the one prompt. It's done a lot of work there. So let's just ask it, yes, please create the executive summary. So I'm also saying to do it in Markdown because that's going to give it the formatting. To me, this might be a bit too long for an executive summary. So then I could say, can you make this a smaller? We can obviously go from here and, see what we can do to really hone it into what we want. Now, after that, let's be real. GPT-4 isn't just about saving time or saving 2 minutes a day. It's about transforming the way that you work and freeing up your time to focus on human tasks that are creative and require judgment. And that, my friends, is why GPT Plus is worth every single penny. But I want to speak to the employees out there that may have a boss that's stingy, not willing to pay for it. There are many jobs out there where you're required to spend heaps of money just as a barrier entry to be able to do that job. Jobs like being a carpenter. You see these? See this? See this? Or this? Look at this thing. As a carpenter, tens of thousands of dollars was spent on equipment. It was just simply, that's just what you needed to do business. And even while I was making $30,000 a year as a first year apprentice, I had to spend like 5% of my salary on a piece of equipment in one go. Now I know $240 could be a lot to you in your life, and it depends on the country that you're living in. I'm obviously using numbers for the US and for me in Australia. So I know it's different for you. And so for one last thing, I'm just going to share you a simple rule of thumb that I share with my friends to help them decide whether they should buy GPT Plus or not. If you are using the free version of ChatGPT more than 1 hour a week, and a portion of that time is you actually just wrestling with it and you're bummed that it doesn't complete the message that you want it to, and when you get it to continue, it doesn't continue. If those are your problems that you are having and you spend an hour a week, then you should just buy GPT Plus. That type of time will stop being wasted and you'll have much more time to do a whole bunch of other things. Either you'll spend less time because you're not wrestling with it, or you'll spend more time because now your mind has expanded to what can be done using a state-of-the-art AI. If you like this video, then watch this video here because I know it's going to help you.